It's David Ducker coming back at you, and today I'm going to be talking about the two kinds of RPG book. Been talking to a lot of people about game design recently, and this is always like the first question you need to ask, and it's something a lot of people forget to ask or they don't clarify. So I thought I'd do a video about it. There are two kinds of RPG book. There's the Toolbox, which is a collection of rules, and you can use these rules to impart your own flavor. So Savage Worlds, GURPS, BRP, D6 system, Mutants and Masterminds. You can use any of these for space opera, for pulp adventure, for a zombie apocalypse game, for low fantasy, for superheroes, for military sci-fi, for horror, for samurai action, whatever you want to do. The Toolbox lets you do what you want to do. And that's great. And as I said, there are a lot of those. I've listed some of the best ones, but there are a huge amount more beyond that. I believe there's Cortex, there's Tristat, there are a tremendous amount that are not in my mind at the moment. But if you want to make something like that, your questions, your methodology, your means will be very different versus the other type. The other type of rule book has flavor already inside of it. You can open that book and just start running with it. You have to do no work. It's all there, or it all should be there. And this is things like Legends of the Five Rings, Warhammer Fantasy, Rogue Trader, anything that's licensed. So Star Wars, Star Trek, Firefly, Battlestar Galactica, The Lord of the Rings, Conan, X-Files, which would be excellent, Call of Cthulhu. Anything that has its own flavor, and you can only really use it to do that flavor, that's a completely different kind of rule set from the generic bland tofu toolbox. The tofu will absorb any flavor you give it, and that's great if you want to put the work in. However, the flavorful setting, if you try to, you can add spices, a little bit of herbs, some garnish, some condiments, but the core of what it is already decided. So your methodology will be very different as a writer if that's what you're trying to build. If you're trying to build a toolbox, all you have to do is mechanics. That's it. What's intuitive, what runs fast, what's versatile. That's pretty much all you need. The flavor, you have to build the setting. You have to think about the play style, how the book is going to be used. And to build a setting in enough detail to make it worth someone buying, just to make it usable, that's a lot of work you have to put in. You need all the things I talk about in my campaign world builder series, my building culture series. So you need, the architecture, the fashion, the clothing, the art style. You need the cuisine, what they're eating. How's the government organized? The military, the religion. And religion could be a huge and complex topic. The economy. Does the economy make sense? You need to think about the history of that world. How did it get to be that way? The cosmology, if you have magic. The different schools and philosophies of magic. You need to get all of this detail for each culture. And if you have two cultures, you need all of that detail twice, plus foreign relations, how the cultures feel about each other. If you're using non-humans or animals otherwise than real-life animals, now you need to think about all of their biology as well. Lizard men can't see well, but they can smell, and they can smell with their tongue, but they're affected by cold very greatly. But they can see into the thermal spectrum as well. They only need to eat once a month, and it takes them a long time to digest that. So they'll eat, they get lethargic, then they'll get the energy from the food, and they'll start to get lethargic again until they eat again. So you've got this weird body cycle. Maybe their skin can change color. And if he's around people he thinks is inferior, he turns a hotter color. he turns red, orange, purple. Whereas if he's feeling inferior, he starts turning color like blue and green, something colder in color. Playing that character and detailing his biology. How many eggs does he lay? How does he breathe? Does he have a cloaca or his genitalia external? And not just for civilized, people, sapient beings, but sentient beings as well. The Tarrasque. How strong is its poison? Does it travel in a herd? What kind of food does it eat? Where does it live? Does it have gills or does it just hold its breath? What can we use its shell for? Is it farmed? Is it hunted often? What's the mythology of the Tarrasque? All of these questions you need to answer for any monster, any animal that lives in that world that's not a real animal. So the detail that you need in one of these books is tremendous. And if you're not providing that detail, you're shortchanging your players. You're taking their money and giving them something they can't use. They have to put in work. If they wanted to put in work, they buy the generic toolbox, the tofu. So you have to sell them a completed product. You have to put in the work and the effort. When they walk into town, when their characters walk into town, they need to look around. And as soon as you do that, architecture, fashion, art, city layout, and that can all feed back into the history, the religion, the politics. As soon as they grab a Jack off the street and say, "What's good, Jack?" and make small talk, he'll have an opinion on everything. What does he think about religion, politics, the military, the economy? How does he conduct himself? If you grab a lizard man who's just eaten, he'll be very lethargic and not know what's going on very well. And but maybe he's bigger than you, so he suddenly turns red. And you're like, "Oh, this Jack just turned red." And you have to have all that kind of detail. And if you know that he turned red because he thinks he's your superior, maybe you need to straighten this man out, this lizard man out, and tell him, like, you need to turn yourself blue, son, because I am above you in the hierarchy. Or whatever it is. So I just wanted to do this video because you really need to clarify, what is your goal? What are you trying to do? Do you want something that can go anywhere and be anything to any man? Or do you want to impart this unique, rich flavor into someone that only could come from your mind? And if you're doing that, have the detail there. And those settings that I mentioned all have pretty much that high amount of detail. Legends of the Five Rings, Rogue Trader, Warhammer, Call of Cthulhu, Star Wars. The detail is there. But I've seen countless gaming products where the detail is not there. One that I've heard accused of this often is Numenera. Now, I haven't played much Numenera, but from what I understand, they don't detail the architecture, the clothing, the cuisine. And just missing out on those, that's a big, big thing to miss out on. You're going to cause huge problems if you don't have that. And a lot of people have been very mad at the writers and the makers and the publishers of Numenera because it doesn't have that kind of detail. Now, I haven't read it, so that's secondhand. And when I have read it, I'll do a review, and if it's true, I'll say it's true, because I always spit the truth. So, in the comments below, let me know, what do you think? Are there only 2 types? Are there more types than that? What is the best of each type, in your opinion? I'm asking you. The comments below with the answer. And until I see you again, good day and good gaming.